Hey, welcome. Welcome to DevChatter. My name is Brendan, and today we are going to be writing a little bit of code. Wait, what is this? Nightbot? Someone posted a link already? Ouch. Anyway, so as I was saying, welcome to DevChatter. My name is Brendan. Today is, Monday, June 18th, it looks like. And we are... Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I don't whitelist all Twitch TV links. If you mentioned to me what you were going to link, I think I can permit you to link it. I believe I've got that turned on. Anyway, so as I was saying, we're going to start off the stream by reviewing a few pull requests that were sent in by our awesome viewers. Many of our awesome viewers have yet to send us a pull request, and we are hoping that you will. Yes, I'm talking about you. Yeah, you. Michael. I chose a name. Is there a Michael in chat? I hope so. Anyway, okay, so we have 4 pull requests we want to take a look at. One of them I'm not going to merge in on stream because it's a little bit large, but I do want to... Oh, nice. Welcome, everyone from C# Fritz's stream. Welcome. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it is for you. So, as I said, we're going to be looking at some of this code. So the first one we're going to look at is from Ace Flame Seer, one of our regulars here. And he sent us a deal or no deal game for our bot, which I think is a really cool one. If you want to take a look at it, check out this pull request. I'm going to review a couple of things on it. We've been discussing it as we go along. So you'll notice there's a bit of discussion in here. But the essence of the game, as I'll show you, is he set up... where is it? Looking through here. That's the action. Where's the game? My game. There it is. Okay, so he set up this game class. And what it does is it goes through, and that's actually kind of hard to see with that being on both sides, so let's just do this. Okay, so essentially what it does is when you want to, this is the command. I didn't mean to open the command. I meant to open up the iGame. This one. Good job, Brendan. Way to open the correct thing. Okay, this is the one that I meant to open up. It sets up a couple of things. So first off, it sets up a set of, I believe they're called boxes here. Yeah, the async awake, our custom ones are turned off right now. But I can link those. Our simple commands are not running. So we're on the special version of the bot that's running inside the web app instead of the console app. So the one piece it's missing right now, async awake, and everyone else, is the ability to do our custom commands right now. But I will post a link. Actually, there's a YouTube link down below if you want to take a look at that. So essentially what he's got is... wait, which thing's not available on YouTube? But where can I find your archive movies? A few days ago, I was watching the first movie about Game Tracker. Now it's not available on Twitch. The Game Tracker one should be. That should be on Twitch. If not, let me know. Make an issue for it on my stream info section. So for anyone who is wondering, if you do want to make some request about the stream, you can head over to our stream info section, which I will post a link to in chat. If you go here, you can head over to our issues and make a suggestion for something you want me to do. Additionally, while you're here, you could take a look at our schedule and things like that. So anytime we schedule someone to be on the show, any guests or anything like that, it ends up there. Okay, so essentially what he set up was an initial set of boxes or briefcases. If you know the concept of the Deal or No Deal game show, this is the idea. So he starts with 15 boxes. And then the player is going to be assigned one of these. So we attempt to start the game. And if it's already running, then we send a message saying game's already running. But if it's not running, we continue on. We then check to make sure that you're in the correct role to be able to start a game. And as long as you are, again, we continue on. So these are just 2 safety checks he did here. It works well enough. The next thing that we've got is charge tokens for starting games. So essentially the idea is because this game has a reward of tokens, we're going to have the game cost some amount of tokens to start, because you could win up to 100 tokens. So we want to not make it so that this isn't just an engine driving more tokens into our system. Because while you're all in chat right now, the bot is actually giving you tokens just for being here. So just your presence in the stream earns tokens. So if anything, we want our games to have a chance of increasing, but probably be down to about a coin flip. Yes, exactly. We want to be aware of coin inflation. Not that our coins do anything, but it's a bit of fun. Okay, so once it has done that transaction, it comes down here, and it will assign the person who started the game as the main player, indicate the game is running, and it will create a new list of boxes. So this is the ones with owners. And then it does this quick shuffling thing, and then it allows you to pick. Now what's weird is it has everyone else picking too, so it's got a number of other players. So there's interaction from people on the stream that aren't just that one. And I do want to review that. But my first bit of feedback upon looking at this code is that we have a lot of code inside of the game class. So a 300-line class, I know a lot of people are sitting here thinking, hey, that's not very large. And I would say, yeah, we've all seen code larger than this, but we want to try to keep it a little smaller if we can. So my first bit of feedback is let's figure out if we can't get some of this code out of here. Minimize it, reuse it, or remove it completely. One of those options. Anyway, that's one of my main points on that pull request, is that class there. The other stuff we want to look at in here, I love that he created a factory to generate the automated actions. So sometimes in our code, what we're doing is we need to trigger something outside of the main thread, and we do that through automated actions. So we set up a wrapper essentially around this concept of, hey, we need to come back and do a thing later. So so he made a helper method that gets him the right one and put it in this factory here. So I think it works pretty well. The next thing that I really like about this is so he created custom actions for these, which I think works reasonably well. I think we might have been able to reuse one of our existing ones, just so that there's not so much repetition, because these 3 I-interval actions, if you take a look at this code, you'll see what I'm talking about. They're pretty much the same, except for their invoke. So I want to see if there's some reuse we can get there, and I think we can. Either by having this inherit from our base class or creating his own. But I think there are like 3 or 4 of those, and they're basically the same. Let's see. I love that he set up a box class. Welcome, thanks for following. The other thing I like about this is that he did put the logic of assigning an owner to it. So it attempts to set an owner, and it does this only if there's not already one. So I really like that. I like that he encapsulated this logic together. It's very good. The next thing here, I'm not a huge fan of the DND name here. I know we want to have a short name for this. I kind of want to call this the deal no deal command. So that's going to be long for an initial command, so typing in chat it would be like this. So kind of long, so I get that, you know, this is probably what we want to type instead, or maybe, you know, deal or something like that. We'll have to figure that one out. The other things here, these are in as constants. I'm glad he put them in as constants to start with. This is the ideal starting point anytime you're writing code. Put something in as a constant. But then right before you do your pull request, the other step that you want to do, notice that there is a comment here that says configuration. You probably want to break this out as a configuration settings inside your app settings.json file. So these probably go there, or we want to move it into a configuration in the database, one or the other, because that's why there's configuration here in the code. So if we can get basically all of this code into the database, that would be ideal. Other things, set up basic state enum so that we can tell where we are in the game. So in the beginning, you're going to be choosing starting boxes, and then you're going to start picking them, and then every time you're offered a deal to either accept or reject, you're in the making a deal phase. So I like that I like this state object that he did here. And then the other thing that I thought was really good is that all the commands in here are broken out into operations. So essentially you type dnd accept, and so the word accept there is an operation on the dnd command, and that's what these are. So you'll notice that accept is one of the operand words that can be used for the make a deal operation. So I like a lot of what is set up in here. So I thought it was very, very well done. So because of that, I am going to help out in getting this into a state where we can bring it into our bot and use it. Okay, let's take a look at some of our other ones. So from Async Awake, who I think is in chat right now, we got a set of unit tests. Yep, hey Async Awake. So I reviewed these for Async Awake already. Essentially, the suggestions that I made were pull out the message that we return, so it's not a string here. I suggested pulling out a messages class because then, you know, we can essentially have like a group of constants. So this is actually an internal, like, and by internal I mean like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a child class, and I don't mean inheritance child. I mean it's an inner class of the schedule command. And these are messages that could be returned by it, so that when we expect it, down here in our test, where is that? Schedule command.messages.outofrange is what we end up having here. So it works very nicely to have that static internal class there that you can just access for constants. So, because it kind of gives a feel to what that is. So I thought that worked out nicely. Alternately, you could have this be a class that the other one contains an instance of. It's up to you how you want to do that. The code will look the same way in your usage. So it would essentially be a static instance of a messages class that had an out-of-range property. I made it internal just because there's no reason for them both not just to be static. So I thought it worked out well. In these classes, essentially all they do is they mock up a set of data. So they create this set of data, have a mock repository return that set of data. This is times, so these are times when we would have our streams. I realize you guys can't see that very well. Can I pull that off the edge? No. So we'll do this. All right, there we go. And just uses inline data to be able to test some of this. So it works pretty well. It just makes sure that our schedule prints out nicely. And so you can see basically how our system works. If you type in the schedule command like I did right there, you'll see that it prints out what our schedule is. So you can see that over in our chat. And essentially you just give it what your UTC offset is right now, but there is a pull request in here, I think, to make that a little better. So first things first, I totally approve of these unit tests. I think they will do a great job for our code, so let's go ahead and merge these in. And that is going into, before I click this button, master. Good. We're just using a master branch right now instead of adding the complexity of having multiple release branches or dev branch or anything like that. We build it on stream, so we're less worried about stability and more worried about ease of community contributions. So if anyone at some point does want to talk Git, GitHub, that sort of thing, and practices for that, let me know over on that stream info that I was talking about, and we can talk about that on stream. Okay, so the next one is a pretty easy one. In this one, essentially, we had an issue that we created as just an easy thing because someone mentioned to us one time, hey, we used capital I, capital D, which is against our naming convention. So it was suggested that we fix that to be, you know, a capital and a lowercase. Hang on one second. Did I fix that? No, not yet. Sorry guys, this is just bugging me right now. Yeah, I apologize about the lighting. I just I just messed with my lighting, and I want to get it a little bit better, but I didn't have time to fix all that before the stream started. I've had a lot of success with Fake It Easy or mocking and unit tests. What do you think of that framework? I have heard about it, but I haven't tried it. There are a lot of good mocking tools out there, and there are also shims and things like that. So one of the tools that I'm a big fan of is called Microsoft Fakes. So it's actually fairly good. So the interesting thing with fakes is that it is not exactly mocking. It lets us do something called it lets us make a shim. So or that's really what I use it for, I should specify. And essentially it lets you do things like this. So a great example is datetime.now. So datetime is a static class that allows us access to things like now, UTC now, and other stuff like that. So it gets you relevant information, and we use it all over the place. So sometimes you want to be able to test your code, but not worry about actually having to wait. So sometimes your code is going to require that you say, wait a minute, for some operation to complete or something like that. You know, it triggers and you say like, well, this should be true in 5 minutes. Well, I don't want my test to wait 5 minutes. I want to be able to test it as if it's been 5 minutes. And so a lot of times what we'll do is we'll create an iSystem clock or something like that. Let me show you an example of that, because we have one right back here. iClock. So we have an iClock interface right here, and all it has is UTC now and now. And essentially what this does is it gives us a wrapper around that datetime class. So all of our code depends on this object and just uses this. At runtime, we give it this, the system clock. But when we are doing our tests, we have fake clock, which basically is just you set the value and use it. Now this is effective. This works just fine. The date time dependency, this is a pretty minimal one and is easy to work around. But what the shim lets us do is actually not have to write that code that we did there with the iClock. Lets us do one thing that's a little bit cooler. So in a more complicated case than the date time one, we might want to use this, and I'll show you what it does. Essentially, you start off by having this little using here that tells you we're going to be in a shim context. So within this, static types are now open to be modified by us. So for example, we can do this. System fakes shim date time dot now get equals this value. And what that's going to do is it is going to make it so that the date time dot now is going to return this value. So inside of this code right here, when we say, get the current year, this accesses date time dot now, but it uses this return value. So when that static gets called, we use this instead. So shimming basically does a bit of black magic to allow you to get away with what you want to do. And you can actually customize how it works and shim code that's from the framework or shim code from other libraries. It's all up to you, and it's both amazing and scary what things you can do with shims. So big fan of how those work. Figured I'd mention that since we're talking about this code anyway. Okay, so the quick thing here, this is just a fast rename, so this has my immediate approval. I'm going to click Update Branch on that, and we're going to merge it in. Yeah, so S&B. There's a lot of neat stuff that you can do beyond that. That's not to say that mocking and faking isn't also really useful. So we use all of these. They're just additional tools in our toolbox. Because sometimes it's easier to just shim that static method than it is to fully extract the dependency on, say, like system clock or a more advanced static class. Okay, so async awake actually has a second pull request into us, and I think this one came in yesterday. And essentially, what async awake discovered is that our hangman game, speaking of which, hangman game does not know the difference between a capital and a lowercase letter. So if you were creating your database of words for the hangman game, you added a new word, but you added it in with a capital, it wasn't going to work. So we didn't bother with casing with this because who was going to type capital letters? We didn't really worry about it because we just kind of shoved it in here. We do a number of things on stream where we're like, we're going to come back and clean this up later. And in our case, we actually do come back and clean a lot of that stuff later. You can check our videos in the video section here on Twitch, and you will see that we do sometimes come back and fix this stuff. And a lot of times we'll record it as an issue so that we remember to come back for them. Okay, so this is literally the change right here, is when you start the game of Hangman, we select what the current password is. And password in this case just means the word we're trying to guess in our Hangman game. It's our secret word, you might say. And all we do is when we select it out of the repository, all async awake does is just to lower that string. It goes into our field, and then that's what we use to compare against. So now it's always going to compare against a lowercase value. So all the letters are lowercase. So it works out pretty nicely. And I want to click the update branch button because these are getting merged in. So as soon as that finishes, I will go ahead and get that up there. I don't know what this word is. I'm looking at that word and I don't know what it is. Whoop. Guys, I can't type apparently. Took a while to find the bug, but it was fun because the bug only appeared when guessing single letters. Whole words were already case insensitive. Oh, nice. Oh, the word was burrito. Well, we lose there, huh? Yep, we had too many failed guesses. So that's our Hangman game. Hey, Blub, you are well aware that the original word list was all foods, so Do Razor pages support mobile browsers by default? Pimplack, yes. The short answer is Razor pages in ASP.NET Core are actually very simple HTML markup. So anything you can do in with just HTML works. So yeah, they support mobile browsers by default. In fact, the default website for it also works pretty well for that. Yeah, sure thing, Async Awake. So what Async Awake just asked me to do is open up, so in our bot we have what are called simple commands. And our simple commands are ones that are in the system. So I'll just type the commands command. So over there, you'll notice that it's currently not showing us all of the simple commands. And the reason for that is that I recently changed how the bot works and initializes itself, and it's not currently initializing that. And the reason for that is, so first off, we're not on the master branch. That's part of why our bot's a little weird right now. We are running essentially the unstable branch, which is more fun. Welcome, Blub, Sky Hoshi, Async Awake, Pimplack, SNB, Nifix, and anybody else that's in here who I didn't say hi to. Welcome. Hope you're all having a great day. Let's go ahead and look at the simple commands. These are the simple commands, so Async Awake, go ahead and take your screenshot if you like. Don't think I have any that are, none require anything other than the role 3, so that's everyone. So those are our simple commands. Essentially, you type the word on the left and it spits out this text. That's all it does. And then we have a couple of interesting things that I should mention. So if you do like lurk or unlurk, you'll notice that anything inside of square braces over here, it will attempt to replace those with a matching token if we have that. So that's how that works. It's pretty nice. Depends on your layout. Razor is just simple wrapper over MVC. Yeah, what Nifix said. Basically, if you can make the HTML for it, Razor is just a wrapper around HTML generation. Yep, Boo314 is correct. You will definitely want to get some kind of a front-end framework to help you out with that. Makes it a lot easier to get a responsive design. Or write it yourself. Yep, you could write it yourself, but I highly recommend you take a look at an existing library, unless your goal is to make the new library, or you simply want to learn what that library is doing underneath the hood. Either way is fine. But if your goal is making the site, I recommend, as we always say, standing on the shoulder of giants. It is much better to make use of something someone else already built, because they put in the legwork. Okay, did this go? Yep, we're going to merge that in. And now the last one. Yeah, no, Blub, reinventing the wheel is fun. But your goal needs to be reinventing the wheel for the sake of reinventing the wheel. Greendolf, you have a question for me. Do I know how to make C# WebAssembly modules without Blazor? Greendolf, I do not know how to make WebAssembly modules without Blazor. I would wonder why you wouldn't, again, on the reinventing the wheel question, why aren't we looking at Blazor? That would be an interesting thing. I might look into that at some point, and if anybody else sees anything, I would love to see it, because I would absolutely love to know how WebAssembly modules are created. Okay, so while we wait for this update, so I click the Update Branch button. What that's going to do is it's going to merge in those changes. Our app veyor is going to run again and do a quick PR check. So essentially, it's going to run through this code, run all the tests, make sure everything still works. As long as it does, I'm going to click that merge button. But I won't before that because everybody in the stream is going to yell at me because they do that. They like to yell at me when I click the buttons I shouldn't click. Coca-Cola. Delicious beverage. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, I was, for anyone who is a regular here, I was, yeah, click the button! Yep, hang on guys, I apologize for this in advance, please don't leave. Ah, that's much better. Much better. Okay, welcome, Janisku. Yeah, no, I drink Coke and Pepsi, as you guys can see. I just love the Pepsi Man game. It's the most ridiculous thing. That music is actually from a video game, for anyone that doesn't know. They legitimately made a Pepsi Man video game. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's as crazy as it sounds. Could I show the commands table? Oh, you want the aliases, the alias table. Yeah, I can show you the alias table. So that is this one. Command words. So you don't care about the primaries, you only care about the ones that are false. There you go. So this is our table that lets us do our aliasing. Essentially, these are command words that you could use in chat to trigger these commands. So you'll notice the tax command here has tax, take, remove coins, take. So I could do tax async awake 5 coins, and that was the cost of showing that window, and then I could also then, take coins as well, and both of those work doing the same command. But then I could also use bonus async awake 10 coins and just give them right back. So, yep, that is how our commands work. Yeah, async awake was worried he wouldn't have those coins. Janisku, you used to drink... Oh, and out of curiosity, so I always say Janisku, and I think most people do, but knowing... I'm pretty sure you're from somewhere in Northern Europe, if I remember correctly, so is that J pronounced with a Y sound? So, is it like Jan or something? I don't know, I figured I'd check. I don't want to be messing up people's names all the time. I mean, I'm probably messing up people's names all the time, but I am perfectly happy to say your name a different way if it's pronounced a different way. Just let me know, and I will attempt to not say it in some laughably horrible way. Okay, so, someone wanted me to click that button, even though it wasn't done. Building. Dang it, I was hoping it'd be done and I could just click it and be over with. Alright, so here's the code that I wanted to do today. So we just finished reviewing those pull requests. I'm going to click the last of those buttons, but for now we're going to look over here at our Rock, Paper, Scissors, Boom game. So this is a website that we are setting up that is going to allow you and anyone else to submit their AI competitor, or I guess you could be human, but that'd be a really bad idea since you have to make 1,000 moves per match. And we're probably going to give you a time limit. But anyway, we're going to set it up so that you can submit your own competitor to this competition. And in order to make this work a little bit better, we're going to need to start storing the results of running the game. So last Thursday, we had Steve Smith, who goes by the alias Ardalis, on the stream. He was pair programming with us, and we were working on trying to get some of our data into SQL. So as part of that, we were figuring out what we wanted to store, which is one of the big questions. So we created this data storage branch and started storing this data. Get 1,000 people, have them each play 1 round. Yes, Greendorf, that is a brilliant, brilliant idea. Brilliant. Or you could just return rock. You could make an HTML page that literally just has like a static page that just returns rock and that's it. That would be a really bad idea, but you know, you could do it if you wanted. So, oh wait, hang on. RPS rock. There we go. Rock, paper, scissors, everybody. It's important. Okay. And actually, the rock, paper, scissors game that the bot plays in chat there is not this one. So they are separate rock, paper, scissors games. Okay. Close down all those screens. We don't need them. I'm going to open up the Run the Game page because this is an important one. This is the one that actually runs the game. And I am going to go ahead and run the app now. I don't know what caused that sound. That's annoying. Which one? Okay, the client worked, but not the server. Fantastic. So here's what we're going to do. So that error actually meant that for some reason my local IIS Express, which is what runs my website, has the port blocked that this is running on. Now, that's a little weird. I don't know why, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to increment by 1. And I'm going to increment both of those. Why it did that, I don't know. Unable to connect to IIS Express. Lies! Alright, we are going to stop that site. And then we are going to stop the other site. Okay. There we go. We're going to change another number and see if it works. We'll change more numbers until it works. There we go. It works. Woohoo! Yes, I know. That's a lot of excitement for getting a site to run. Run the game. Okay, so here's all we're gonna do. We're gonna hit run the game, and right now we don't have a button that we press. Like, you just go to this URL and it runs the whole game. So what this actually did behind the scenes that you didn't see is it took every one of those bots and it pitted them each against each other. So they played against all the other bots. And I think even we still have a bug in here, but don't worry about that right now, because no one noticed it last Thursday, so no one's going to notice it today either. So don't notice the bug that none of you are paying enough attention to. Have identified that anyway. I really need a crickets button. I don't have crickets on my Stream Deck to play a crickets sound. Okay, so HTTP client factory we're not using, so I'm going to get rid of this for now. Because we were passing this into our web API project, but we're not currently running that, so I'm going to hide that away. Okay, this is get default competitors, which works pretty well. So essentially what we do right now is we grab the competitors out of the database and instantiate them. So, we instantiate them right here. I think this could get extracted as a method right here. Create competitor hide type. I think that's what it's doing. We'll see in a second. Maybe it's create bot by type, not competitor. Create bot by type from competitor. That's what we want, from competitor. Create bot from competitor. I think that's a clear name. So here's what we're doing. We have a competitor object. We want to make a bot out of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab the type off of here, which actually, now that I think about it, it's just a string, so I'm not going to have that line. So we're going to say get type from the name, from the bot type name. That's going to get us a C# type object. Then we're going to use C#'s activator class, which is a special class that lets us create new instances of a type. So this is kind of like newing it up, but it's not what we're doing here. So we're going to make one of these. We're going to cast it as the base type that we're using. And then we're going to use pattern matching. So we're going to say, essentially, if this bot object that we have here is a SignalR bot type, assign it to this object, this variable here, the SignalR bot object, and then set that property on it. So essentially this is, for this type we want to do one special thing. So right now that's based on it being a SignalR bot, but I have a feeling we're going to have an interface for this instead that is going to say that it has something about having an API root URL. So that's what we're going to probably set up instead, is like, essentially an interface to designate that it needs a URL. And that's what we're going to do there. Okay. Assign those, run that, and okay, so now looking at this code, on get we do this. So we want that to be triggered by a button instead of just on get. Bot creation method. So we're going to extract that. I just figured we'd nice that up a little bit, so that is a little bit prettier. Now let's go ahead and take a look at what else we have in the database. So app DB context, there we go. So right now the only thing that we have stored in here is the competitor object, but we probably want to get to the point where we are also storing these records, and I forget whether we want to store bot record or full record first. So the bot record should be that top category where it just says what the values are, and I don't think we have to store this because this information could be intuited by the full record. But I think there's some value in having saved this also because it's a little easier to work with, and I'm not worried about that right now. So let's take a look. So bot name, wins, losses, and ties. Because now that I think about it, this actually, we might keep this data longer term than we keep the full records. So I think that's the reason we want to save this. Okay, so what we're storing is bot name, win, loss, and ties. I think that's probably enough, but I think we should store the bot ID as well, which means we should store the competitor instead. So let's take a look at where this came from. Okay, this was only ever assigned right here. Nice. Where did this get set? It got set from a competitor object. Perfect. This is going to be super easy to fix. So our bot record is now going to get a competitor instead of a bot name. Competitor. We are going to assign that to a property. And the reason I'm not going to have that as a getter only property, the reason I'm going to put both in there, is because we need to allow Entity Framework to set that value. Okay, so now that we have that, I'm pretty sure EF is just going to figure out that that's a foreign key, but we're going to find out real quick here. So let's go ahead and jump here. Instead of setting competitor name, we're going to set competitor. Now we're going to need to fix a couple of other places because I know this is probably referenced somewhere else that didn't find it first. Oh, that's an iBot competitor, not a competitor. Ooh, that is my mistake. Basebot competitor? There we go, just clarifying names there, otherwise I was going to get confusing. So we're going to call that a bot.competitor. Let's go ahead and build, see what we end up with. This should be the CS.html file, which did not come up in our reference. Which is kind of annoying that didn't get found as a reference. So competitor.name, there we go. That should be the only change there. Let's go ahead and build again, see what we get. Hooray! Success. Okay. So now we should have that. Let's take a look. Wait, why is that still red squigglying me? Why are you still red squigglying? That shouldn't be red squigglying. Okay, I think Solution Explorer is a little confused right now. So I'm going to rerun the site. No suitable constructor found for that. Interesting. Oh, did I uncommented this. Oh, yeah. I uncommented that, which means I needed this. I am being crazy, everyone. Okay, so quick piece of note. Entity Framework, the way that it works is it creates objects using an empty constructor like this. It then hydrates hydrates your objects, so it sets the values of these. The one extra thing here, I need to have a setter on that Otherwise, Entity Framework's not going to be able to set that value. So we were going to find that out when we attempted to create our migration here. Okay, let's try this again. I'm going to run the game. Let's see what it does. There we go. Now it works. Okay, fantastic. Okay. Great, great, great. That is ready to get committed. So I'm going to comment this line for now. Now the reason I'm going to do that is I want to commit these changes first. Change bot record to have competitor. Because now when I do my migration for Entity Framework, I want to have this. Why are you creating constructors for entity models? You mean why did I have this constructor? Just the convenience, boo 314. It originally wasn't an entity object, so that's why it had this. But if we nuke these, then we'd be right back to where we are there. And all we would have to do then is go to where this is created and create it on the fly. To be honest, I am mostly looking forward to record types, which I have been waiting for to show up in C# for quite a few years. They were originally going to be just default constructors in the language. So if you haven't seen that, I recommend you take a look at those. Wait, what the? Do I have an extra? Yeah, extra curly. There we go. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that. Essentially, the idea with a record type is that a record type is a more advanced structure, but it is going to have a default constructor on it. So the idea is that when I create an object like this, I essentially... I basically just write the constructor almost, like, or really just say what it has in it, and I get an object out of that. So the concept being, I want the minimal declaration of this that will get me an object that has constructors and equality comparisons and all of these other bits of useful language features without having to write a whole bunch of stuff. So essentially, I just want that these two words, the name, the type and the name, type and name, type and name, and type and name. And if I can have that and what class I am, then I'm good. That's literally all that's in here that's any use at all. I mean, if you just assume that everything is public, then I don't need anything else. Let's see. Oh, SNB. You are wondering what this is. So this Git UI that I'm running here is actually one that I use mainly for the stream, but I don't actually use anywhere else. This is called GitHub Desktop, and I actually like it a lot. It's one of the official GitHub clients, and it's pretty easy to use. It's lightweight. Part of the reason I like it for the stream is that I have it so that the only projects it knows about are ones that I do on stream, which is nice. So that's part of the reason I use a separate one, is because it can be focused to just what we use on here. But then in addition, it's got a couple of other features that I'm a big fan of. So let me step over to our bot project. So this is the project. Okay, Malachi. Yeah. This is pretty lightweight. As far as a Git client. I mean, compare this to like SourceTree, for example, and this is lightweight. Anyway, So if I click here and I refresh this, you'll notice there's this, it's kind of small here, but it just says pull requests here. So there's branches and there's pull requests. So I can click on pull requests, and these are the pull requests in our project. And I can just click on this and it just opens. And I am over in my pull request from Async Awake right here. This is his hangman change. And you'll see these are, this is the change right here. So that's literally the only modification is this, actually. So works just fine. And then I can decide that I want to go back to the master branch, and I can just do that. Or I could go here and I can switch around, choose my branches, I can choose pull requests, and it's that easy to just change between them. So that's part of the reason why I like that one so much, is it's nice and easy to work with for the stream. So Boo, technically almost anything supports GitFlow because GitFlow is really just a process for yourself to work in. So if you use it for that, you can. In fact, I've had projects where I basically used GitFlow as a lone developer because you can. And Malachi, yes, minimalistic. That's what I mean. But minimalistic is easy for people to see on a stream. And Malachi, yes, welcome back to the stream. Good to have everybody here. Welcome everybody. And they still don't have Linux builds for GitHub Desktop. Sorry, Blub. I don't know why they don't. That does seem silly, doesn't it? Stop using constructor for bot record. So we removed the constructor from this. I would love it if that were a record type. I have a feeling I'm going to use a lot of record types once they're available in C#. Well, yeah, Boo. So source tree just sort of does the workflow like within itself, but then I'd have to use source tree. I've actually used source tree before. I used it a lot of years ago. This probably won't surprise too many people, but I used to be a Mercurial user back when that battle was still going on. You know, before Git and Mercurial were even the popular options. I was already backing the wrong horse. And Blub is correct. That's the one thing I don't like about source tree, is there's way too much going on. And now I can use source tree, but if I pulled source tree up here on this screen, I would get a whole bunch of people in the chat that they would just be like, whoa, like, what is going on? There are so many buttons and everything on that. I think it would confuse a lot of people. It's got some good visualization. It's got some good tools, but whew, that would be heavy. And the comment that Malachi made about this being minimalistic is actually part of the reason I show it on here. Okay, so let me go ahead and uncomment this value here. So I want to uncomment this. As soon as I do this, this is telling, this tells Entity Framework, you are responsible for this type. And so by having this DB set, even though I'm not using it, you can tell I'm not using it because it's grayed out there. It still knows that it's mine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say add migration. Now the first thing I always do. So I am in a clean state. So this is literally the only change here. I then say add migration and I say test. And multiple hang on. Assembly, ensure you're using the correct project. Okay. So I need to specify which project has the Entity Framework code in it. And that is the lower one. So rock, paper, scissors, boom.server. So I pass the project parameter, which tells it which project is the one that has our class in it. So the reason I called this test is because I know I'm throwing away test. I'm going to do this I'm going to add this migration again if I want to use it. Okay, so it created a table for bot records. I'm going to look at the values in a second. It created constraints on the table, including a foreign key, so that looks good, and created an index. So whatever it's got here, I think it's got the right idea because I notice it's only dropping one table, so it looks like it got that one table is what we're adding here. So I think it got the idea. So a couple of things. Let's look at our data. 1 second. All right. Sorry about that. I am surprised the nerd that is doing a programming stream has allergies. I know. Everyone's surprised by this. Okay. So, nullable, false, nullable, true on competitor ID. We allow that to be nullable. Yeah, I guess it's nullable right now. We might want to say that they have to have a competitor. It's a change we might want to fix. Let's see, wins, losses, ties are non-nullable integers. Those are always going to have a value. What is going on in chat? Git Kraken. I know a bunch of people that use Git Kraken. Source tree right now, and this is painful. I'm looking for an alternative to present to the team. Oh, I guess it depends on what you want to use, Boo. Yeah, I know a bunch of people that use Git Kraken. I am actually a command line user for Git. Just waiting for the day when Microsoft announces they've rewritten Visual Studio and Electron. Oh, man, Malachi, I sure hope not. That'd be crazy. And Electron's not that bad, but I like Visual Studio as is. Yeah, Blub, it's a bit of a resource hog, but at the same time... Yeah. Wow, Boo, you only have 20 gigs of memory, huh? My PC here is... running quite a bit more than 20 gigs of memory, which is really good for running a stream. Let's see. Luckily, memory is actually one of the cheaper things. So if you need extra memory, you can just load in extra memory. That's one of the cheaper upgrades on a PC. Okay, we have a primary key on ID, so it figured that out. It created a foreign key for competitors based on competitor ID. So keep in mind, let me show you all how this figured this out. So I just want to show you this because I love the fact that it can do this. Bot record literally just has a competitor object on it, and it figures out, oh, you want to store bot records? Okay, cool. I'm going to give you a competitor ID field that's going to be a foreign key mapping onto the competitors table. And it's like, wait, what? Just download more RAM. Yeah, Blub, just download more RAM. Malachi, yeah, memory probably is more expensive than it was 2 years ago. But then again, I'm using a computer that's... Wow, is it that old? This is a 3.5-year-old computer. That is impressive. I just had to think about that. This computer's got some age to it. But that's part of the reason why I like PCs, is they last. They're stable. They're good. All right, so here is why we did this. We confirmed this looks like a good set of stuff. We're going to delete those 3 selected changes. Goodbye. Now we're going to use a name that's better than test. Imagine that. Test isn't the name I'm going to use. So let's say create bot record table and see what we get. Now, if you're looking for a video card, those also got expensive for a little while. Anybody know if video card prices have come down since the Bitcoin miners all showed up on the scene? You don't buy a new computer every year for the overpriced new hardware you didn't need? Yeah, Blub, that's exactly what I do. I buy a new computer every year. An entirely new computer. No, they haven't come down yet, Malachi? Okay. Yeah, no, this computer's had 2 upgrades since it was purchased. One of those was RAM. DDR4 RAM? Let's see. When did DDR4 RAM show up? Says September 2014. That's impressive. So that's kind of funny. According to the interwebs, September of 2014 is when DDR4 RAM showed up on the scene. So apparently I bought one of those overpriced computers back in 2014 when I got this computer. Right around the end of the year. This was my Christmas present to myself. And it has DDR4 in it. So, which is pretty good for a computer of that age. Apparently, that had only been on the market for a few months when I got it. Maybe if you buy used ones from previous generation. Yeah, Malachi, that actually would be a good idea. If you were buying used computer parts or computers, that would be a way to keep the prices down. Okay, so I think that will work. Create bot record table. I'm not a big fan of this being nullable true here on this column. I could potentially fix it by going to the on-model creating, I think. And I think if I say entity bot record has no, that's not what I want. It's no, it's actually a different override that I would need for that one. I'm not going to mess with it right now. It's not worth doing. I don't care enough. You want to buy a Linux laptop, do you think it's a good idea? I mean, any Linux laptop could have Windows installed on it, so I see no problem with buying a Linux laptop as long as you have easy access to a Windows license to put on it if you ever decide you want to run Windows on it instead of Linux. Why not? If you don't like it, you could just... Yeah, see what Blub said. Yeah, see, Blub and I are thinking the same thing there. If you don't plan on using Windows, or if you already have Windows license, it's great. Yes, Malachi's right. So I'm not afraid of buying computers that don't have Windows licenses on them already, because I have Windows licenses I could use to install Windows on my computers. So by owning some Windows licenses, I can decide to buy computers with blank hard drives. So, I can assemble them from parts and just install Windows on it, and it's not a problem. But if you don't have that, then the only risk of buying a Linux-based computer is you then have to buy Windows if you want to run Windows on it. Okay, create bot record table. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and push that up. So update database. So that command is what's actually going to make the modification to our database, assuming it works. Project rock, paper, scissors. Boom, server. I really need to fix that, so that's the default one. And thank you for the suggestion, stay hydrated, but I will have a sip of my drink. Okay. So bot records have that. Oh, do they not have a match ID on them? Oh, son of a... Okay. We need something else. You have a student license. So... it is possible. It depends on what type of VM you're running, Pimplack. Some of them leverage the same resources. Some of them work differently. You'll want to look into that. So there are some situations where you can't, but in most cases you can use Docker and a VM on the same computer at the same time. Yep, as Boo mentions, that you just need to make sure you look at what solution you want to use first to make sure that it's going to work. So just Google for whatever type of VM you want to use in Docker and make sure that people on the internet tell you, yes, you can use this one and this one. So if there's a specific type of virtual machine you need to use, just make sure that you can run it. And you might also want to check on the hardware that you can use. Okay, yeah, see, as Blub points out, on Windows you'd be forced to use Hyper-V VMs. There you go. See? Blub is a person on the internet, and people on the internet will never lie to you. Alright, so we need one more thing before we actually make this work. I'm not a big fan of what I just did there, because we forgot about one thing. So let's jump back to this. In our model here, we just added bot record. What do we want to call it when you run the game? So a match is played between two bots. Those two bots play 1,000 rounds. Yes, you are all correct. Way to be technically correct there, Boo. I use Mac OS at the moment. I feel more comfortable with OS X terminal than with command, and I also feel that Windows is getting cluttered way easier than Unix. Well, I mean, that's always the case. Alright, everybody, you want to know how crazy I am? I actually used to run Linux. I was a Gen 2 Linux person, so I was primarily in the command line, you know, basically a nerd, we'll say. I know this surprises all of you. You're like, wait, what? You did programmer nerd stuff? Yeah. Gen 2. As in like the penguins. So, like this Linux. Really crazy stuff. It's one of the compile from source Linux varieties. So I'm going to call this a game record. This is going to be a record of the game that was played. I'm going to make this a base entity. So base entity, as you'll recall, comes with a quality comparison and an ID. The value I want to have on here is a date time. Yeah, I'm just going to put in a date time for now. I'm not going to do anything fancy like a date time offset, although we'll probably switch to that at some point. It'll be a little bit nicer. The next thing I want to do here is I want to record maybe who ran the game. Maybe we are just gonna store it this way. there'll be a bot record. It's a game record. We'll just have a date time, and this is basically just the way of anchoring all those bot records to each other. I remember those areas of Linux to include games in the systems. Okay, no, if your goal is to play games, don't be on Linux. Just pro tip there. If you want to play games, you want to be on Windows. Just gonna toss that one out there right now. Yes, don't try to play games on Mac OS. Is a bad idea. AppDB context, game record, and then inside of the bot record, we need an associated game record. Oh, is Wine actually... Oh, that's actually kind of impressive that Wine works that well now. I used to use it back in the day, and it was pretty terrible. But if you don't want to have to, you know, essentially emulate Windows on top of your Linux just to be able to play a game, then, you know... Yep, you can even run Windows viruses. That is actually kind of hilarious. Nice, see, people in chat drinking nice red wine. Me, drinking Pepsi. Pepsi Max, to be specific, although they don't call it that anymore, at least not in the US. Now they call it Pepsi Zero Sugar, and they write Max Taste on the can. I don't know. Okay, so we've got this. Let's go to where this value was set, which is right here. And I want to have a game record, new game record. So these are the bot rankings. This is going to be a game record that we're going to put in here. So this needs to be the record for all the bots. So they're all going to share the same game record that we're going to create right here. That's going to be the game record for these. And then we're going to need to put this in the database. But that should work for now. Let's go ahead and attempt to add that migration as well. So we're going to create a game record table. But before we do that, we're going to make a commit first of these. Add a game record. You know what? No, I'm not going to do the commit yet. We're gonna run this first. We're going to do the migration. So this is going to add a migration, create game record table, and we're telling it which project has our EF code in it right now. You have stable 23 frames per second on a Hackintosh and Fortnite and low details. 23 frames per second is basically unplayable for that kind of game. DevChatter and Wine. Enjoying the finer things in life. Yes, exactly. You got it. Game record ID, bot records, bot record ID. Okay, so we added a game record ID to the bot records table. Then on the game records table, we add in an ID and a date time. Before we do that, let me go. I'm going to nuke these again. Discard those 3 selected changes because I want to rename that column before we get it in there. Going back to date record, we called this date time. Played time. I think. It's not a terrible name. Match date. Oh, match date, game date, maybe. Yeah, game date. You're right, you're right. I don't want to call it match date because our match is a very specific thing still right now. That's a good naming things. I think you all know, all the regulars here are well aware. Naming things is one of the hardest things in development. I mean, what? There's 2 big things two big challenges in programming these days. There's naming things, there's cache invalidation, and off-by-1 errors. UK match, US game. No. Game, set, match, other things. Yeah, so I've got that backwards according to tennis. Match would be the smaller one, game would be the smaller one, match would be the bigger one. We have that backwards in ours. Maybe we should flip that, but we play a game which has many matches in it. So there's a match is between 2 opponents. So the match is like US versus UK. That's a match. And then the overall game is everyone having played. We could call it a competition or a tournament. Those would be other good words for it. Okay, so we're adding a column. We're creating a table. It's a simple table. It has game date on it. We have a primary key for the ID. We then create an index on the bot records table for the game record ID. And we add a foreign key for it as well so that there's a connection to the game records table. And then those are the drops to get rid of them. I'm going to update the database and commit this. Yeah, I do like tournament. We'll probably switch to that at some point, but the problem is there's too many things for me to switch to be tournament right now, so I don't want to get that today. I might make an issue in the system. That's a good point. Let's do that. First off, let me click this button that I'd been waiting to click. And then I am going to jump over to rock, paper, scissors, boom. We're going to go over to the issues section. And we're going to say adjust all naming in the system. Right now we have game. The whole system running, having all bots face each other. Then we've got match, one bot facing another bot. 1,000 times round. A single rock, paper, scissors check between 2 bots. So we'll say 1,000 rounds. Okay. What did you guys say? Tournament, yay. I obviously have dual boot with Windows for game. Yeah, Pimp Black. Exactly. If you do any gaming of any kind, you need to be dual booting into Windows if you aren't running it. Okay. Right now we have these names. Let me get some labels on this. This is a... Ooh, I want my labels for my other project. The DevChatter bot project has better labels right now. We're going to call this an enhancement then. Wait, did that seriously? That freaks me out. I thought I might have lost the stuff I typed. Pro tip, don't click that button, apparently. There we go. Okay, new label. You know, I'm going to need to look up what I used for my other one because I want it to match. Essentially, in our other code base, I have a label that is essentially for when we are making a change that's primarily code-based and not with the actual using of the system. So when it's a code improvement, we have one of those. We want something like this. Tournament, all the bots, the whole system having all bots face each other. Match is going to stay the same. One bot facing another bot 1,000 times. And then is this a game, a set, or a round? Guess it's probably not a set. Yes, Pimp Black, that's right. There is a we'll say football cheer emote right now. A single rock, paper, scissors check between two bots. Not sure on this naming yet. Yeah, and I love that they actually made that thing spin. It's a really good cheer emote. They did well with it. This is an enhancement. Yeah. As I'm sure many of you know, I am from a part of the world where we don't describe that sport using the name football. Although I will point out that soccer is actually not an American-created word for that sport. It actually best not mention the football. I will admit I don't watch the sport, so I will use the name that I think most of you probably use, as most of the world uses it. I don't watch American football either, so that's not a problem for me. Yeah. Exactly. And I'm guessing S&B that part of the reason not to mention is that some people's teams aren't doing that great. Boo, have a good one. Take care. Oh. Yeah, I should mention that this team is my local American football team. They're not known for winning. Championships. Here we go. Let's take a look. NFL Championships 1964. Yeah, that was great, huh? 1964. Looks like it was the last time they won the championship of the National Football League Championship game. Let's see. 9, I wouldn't know whose team you were referring to. I don't know if you know, but YouTube added special download video button on iOS 3-month subscription costs $15. I don't know if... Oh, Pimp, like, that is weird. I didn't know they added a download video button to YouTube. So if you're like a YouTube Premium subscriber, you can download videos now or something, is what you're saying. That seems weird. Yeah. Exactly, S&B. Keep in mind, S&B, that hang on. See, look, but if you, but look, I could if I watched basketball instead of football. You know, I mean, I don't watch football or American football or basketball, but this is a team that actually wins a lot. So, in terms of basketball, the currently considered to be, greatest of all time basketball player, he's from around here. So, I could totally root for him if I watched basketball. Adding a game record table. Okay, so now that we've got those, let's hop back over to run the game. So right now we're triggering the game based on onGet. The simplest thing we could do to make this button triggered instead of just loading it when we go to the page is to make it so that our first off, our data, I believe, is coming from a model object of some kind. Here they are. These are the data model objects that we're using to display our data. I'm going to put those up here for now. We're doing that on get, but I want to pull all this out to an on post. So I'm going to make a public void on post method. And on post, we're going to run a new one. Hang on, what is this? If you have iOS, check it out, and nothing you can go on this time. Yeah, clearly you're a YouTube beta tester. I like Blub's suggestion. It's probably a virus. Okay, so we're going to move that to on post instead of on get. The next thing that I want to do is make it so that I want to take a look at our page and make sure that it looks like it's not going to break if we don't have any data. So I want to give a quick glance at this, just make sure we're doing for eaches on everything. So that's a for each, that's a for each. Because for eaches don't blow up if you have no data in them. Pimplack, you've been here long enough. You know that you can't send links in the chat. Nightbot's not okay with that. Nightbot says beep. Hang on. Oh, and one other thing I want to mention to anybody that's in here, if you do actually want to chat with anybody else and you haven't joined already, take a look down below and you'll find a Discord link. Go ahead and click the Discord link and that will open up a chat, you'll be able to get our chat application. So Discord is a chat application that you can run on your computer, and it's commonly used by gamers, but also by a lot of other Twitch streams. There are plenty of people here that are in there, and you can chat about different programming stuff outside of the stream. Async Awake, thank you for posting the link in the chat. It is right there. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention is if you haven't yet, click the follow button and you will get notified when our next stream goes live. For now, what I want to do is, we've confirmed this looks like it's going to work if we just load up data. So what I want to do is this. I am going to use our DB context and I am going to grab our initial set of data. So I want to get not competitors, but bot records for our game record. So I want to grab the newest game record, which is going to be single or default. Actually, I want to grab first or default. First or default I don't want to filter on anything. I want to order by descending x dot game date, and then say first or default. Grab the game record. Game record. And now what I want to do is this. If game record is not equal null, then I want to db dot. You know what? I should have just included. Does game record have these? Nope. Here's what we're going to do. Game record is going to get a list of bot records. There we go. So it'll have bot records on it. So now, when we get, I want to say dot order by descending. Dot include. What the? Wait, what? What? Wait, what? What? Maybe I need to compile first. Just right terms, paid service, YouTube, and Google News. I like the new fonts, new DevChatter icons below. Awesome, thanks Async Awake. Will YouTube be the next Spotify? I sure hope not. Was that a resharper that I used for creating the variable game record? ReadyM04, yes, that was a resharper shortcut that I used for that. It's just an extract variable. Let me get a compile in here, and then I'm going to attempt to include again. The paying for download is actually a thing. Wow, that's actually kind of crazy. Oh, that's what happened. Okay, I understand now. Let's go ahead and build this, and then this should work. I wondered, like, why isn't this working? That's really weird. So we just had a compiler error, is all. Big fat arrow, and then... You gotta be kidding me. Game record. Game data. Bot records. Oh, private. Why did the... Son of a man. I'm losing it, guys. I'm losing it. There it is. Okay. Alright, let's see, what are people talking about? Ad-free videos, downloading videos and stuff. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Now it makes sense why YouTube API is not returning the link from the source of the video anymore. Yep, that would make sense. Okay, so we're going to grab the first game record and all the other game records associated with that. I want to do one quick thing. I want to check and see if I need a new migration. So we're going to make another test migration here. So whenever I need to check things, I do a quick little test there. Ooh, Kazru. Great point, Kazru. I think I killed the bot when I was messing around with stuff. Let me go ahead and stop the site, and I'm going to run it again. I changed its branch. So I killed the bot while it was running, I think. And you are probably correct, Kazru. I can almost guarantee that your guess is correct. Where's the bot? There it is. Okay, cool. Alright, bot's back in chat, so now uptime should work. There you go. See, Kazru, you already knew. That is how long it's been running. Okay, so my test migration that we can see up here, so you see it up there, there's no data in it, so that's good. That's what we wanted to see, was that there was nothing actually changed. So that's why I do it as a little test one, because I know I can toss it. It's just like, was there anything? Let me just make sure that I didn't do something that's going to trigger one. Okay, so in theory, because of the fact that it knows about my foreign key, Entity Framework should be able to load up this collection when I tell it, get me the game record and include the bot records in it. So, what that means is, this dot bot rankings equals game record dot bot records should be a valid thing to do. And I want to say, or new list of bot records. So it's either an empty collection or it's that. And then all full results equals new list. So we're just going to make sure that those are empty. So on get, we're going to grab the data out of the database, show it if it's there. If not, we won't. And then we're going to do this. So right now there won't be any data, so there'll be nothing to show there. And when we want to take a look at this, we are going to do this. I'm going to go ahead and say view in browser. And now the game should not run. Oh, it's correct. I need to apply the migrations. I love that screen, by the way. That is such a nice screen. I literally got to click the button. If you haven't seen that before, I added a migration, but I didn't call update database. This, which you can't see behind my head right now. Let me pull it up so you can see it. So right up here, that update database that's right above my head there, I did not call that command, so it did not actually run my migration against my database. So when I went to the page, it popped up a thing and said, hey, you haven't run it yet. And I clicked a button and it should have updated the database. So now when I go here, now it's actually been run and I can just reload this page. So if you forget to run your migrations, it can tell and it's like, hey, stupid, you didn't run your migrations. What are you doing? Let me fix it. It basically came along and it said, okay, so as I mentioned, we're not going to have any results now because we just moved this to post. So we need a way to post to this. And what we're going to do to be able to post here is hop over into that page, go into the CSHTML, and probably right up at the top, we want some kind of a button to display it. So we have bot results and full game results. Do I want it above or below? We'll put it here for now. So we're going to have input type equals submit value equals run the game again. Let's see how terrible that looks. Run the game again. So, doesn't look bad. Now I want a screen like that to fix the bugs I write. Yes, with AI integration. I love the thought here, guys. Love the thought, everybody. It's brilliant. Yes, exactly. Whenever you have a bug, whenever you make a mistake, just show me a thing and just have a button to fix it. Yes, IntelliCode will be great. All right. Nope. Okay, I need to put a form around this. Technically, I could put the form around this only. I don't need it anywhere else. Is that what I want to do? Can't remember exactly. Nope. Action is post, right? Isn't that what I do? I don't remember. I don't know. Action's this. Helps if you type it correctly, Brendan. Oh, that's going to be an action, not a... That's what I wanted. Yeah, method is post, but don't I specify... Can I specify the page using a razor page? I thought I could. Oh, page. Does that work on this? Wish I could type. Yeah, we all wish we could type sometimes. Run the game. Come on, come on. Run the game, run the game, run the game. Okay, cool. It ran the game. And I should be able to run the game again, and it'll run the game again. And it got different results, so it clearly ran the game again. See you, I write some cool stuff over... Just streams Marathon. Oh, yeah, Rocky. Yeah, you're in here. Right here, Rocky. Yeah, see? You're not doing so great, but you're in there. Okay, so that works. Run the game using a button now. What a crazy, crazy concept. So we'll run the game using a button, and then now that we have that going, the next thing I want to do is store the results at the end of the game. So now, after we run this, so we do an on post, I want to create a new game record. So we have all these new things. Let's make a game record with these values in it. Game runner results, start all matches, game runner results. Okay, that's what we got there. It has the game record on it. So all the bot records that are in there. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. After it runs, we get back our game runner result. So I want to save results. That's what I'm going to do right now. This code is all going to end up in a repository or some other object that is going to work with this. It's not going to be this. Yeah, there's no like viewers list that you can see that way ready, but there is a little thing that looks like a bulleted list icon at the bottom of chat. If you click that, it should pull up who the current people are that are in chat if you want to see. And if you're wondering about numbers, we usually have between, say, 30 and 40 people here at any given time. So I should probably have a viewers command that'll give some kind of information on the number of viewers. Well, if you are interested in programming at all, Rocky, you are in the right place. Because we do like programming around here. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I want to say _db.gamerecords.add, and I want to say nope. I want to say gamerunnerresults.botrecords.first. And before I do that, I want to say if gamerunnerresults.botrecords.any, just to confirm that we have any. We're going to work in here only if we have these. We're then going to say gamerunnerresults.first.gamerecord is what we're going to add. And then I want to do a for each on our gamerunnerresult.botrecords. And I want to say db.botrecords.add. Actually, I can just add range. So I'm just going to add this range into here. So chop that, and we're going to put it right here. So we're going to say add the game record. So we're going to grab the first one, grab the one off the same one, because they should all be from the same game record. So ready, you can either send in a pull request to do that. So if you want to contribute to the project, you are more than welcome to. Anyone's allowed to submit pull requests to this project. If you want to do that, head on over here and send us a pull request. So it would be this project here. I'll link it in chat. And add a viewers command. There's an issue. That's a enhancement. That's a good first issue. We'll click help wanted on it, as suggested by ReadyM04. There you go. And if you want to grab that one, go ahead and comment on that issue and say that you want to work on this one. Because without being a member on the project, you can't assign yourself to it. But if you comment in here and say you want to work on it, that lets anybody else know that you are working on it. Okay, so we took our database object. We said game records. We're going to add one on here. We're then going to grab our bot records. We're going to add in a range of bot records. And then we want to save changes. So we're going to say, up here, _db.savechanges. And then that should do that. So now when we load up the page, it should actually work. Let's take a look. So first time we visit it, it's still going to be empty. But the second time we visit it, it should have data for us. So we're going to run the game. Run the game again. Yeah, I know the text isn't great for that. And welcome, DFens. Thank you for following. Hopefully that means you're enjoying the stream today. So we've clicked this once. Now when I reload the page, in theory it should just blow up on me like that. No, we didn't want it to blow up like that. Let's see. Bot rank losses ties. Something was null. Let's take a look at what it was. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to drop a breakpoint right here. We are going to debug this, because that's what we like to do. One of these, okay, this is the one. Really? I didn't think I loaded the page yet, but sure. Go ahead and think I loaded the page already. Okay. We're going to do run the game. We're going to get in here. Bot rankings, 9. Let's see what one of these looks like. Competitor is null. Okay. We didn't insert the competitor. That's what happened. Alright, we got it. So, what we need to do is this. Underscore db.competitors. So, first things first, I want to nuke the data. I'm going to go over here. We're going to open up the Rock, Paper, Scissors, Boom project, open up the table. And we have, it was bot records that blew up. Oh, no. The data's in there. Okay, no, the data did get in. It came in as expected, so that is actually perfect. Because they were already in there, so it did wire them up. Here is what happened. I came over here and I included that, but I did not include on the bot records that we want those as well. So let me go ahead and do this. The competitor object is very simple and small, so I want to tell this, hang on, copy this. I want to do on model creating, and I want to say builder dot entity for our bot record entity. I think I want to, no, I don't want to include it. It's, which override is it? Override public, wait, is it showing me right there? Void override. Why isn't that helping me? IntelliSense, are you busted right now? Don't give me that, IntelliSense. Don't give me that. Loading related data in EF Core, exactly. Yep. I know I can do it that way. That's not where I want to do it. I wanted to just tell it to just do it in the thing. On model creating. Entity school has many with one this. Yeah, but I shouldn't have to specify that. I just want to tell it to just always do that. Isn't there a way to just tell it to always do that? On configuring. Option was used later for proxies? No. Thought there was a way to just do this automatically. Am I crazy? Oh yeah, White Rolf. You're right. Yeah, see? Brain fart. I did that backwards. No, still doesn't want to give it to me. IntelliSense, you're failing me. Alright, so we're going to do it this way. I think I can then... And White Rolf, welcome. Thanks for following. And thank you for the suggestion. Okay, I am going to do that. So we're going to grab the game records. We're going to include the bot records, include the competitors off the bot records, order it by the game date, and then grab the first one. And then ideally that is going to work. But we will see how well it does. So I'm going to run this again. We're going to take a look and see if we don't get the right data this time. So that's coming back. We're going to run the game. So it came back with some data, so that looks like it works. I can run the game again, then it gets these results. So now if I check out the game records, and look at this, we should have a few games in here. So we have 2 games. Game date's not set yet, that's fine. We'll get those set right. But it looks like they are going in. So let's go to where the game record gets created. So game record, we're going to take a look at references for this, which is right, no, game record, references, new, right here. We are going to say game date equals. Actually, we're not going to do that. If you don't specify it, it's going to be UTC now. So by default, we're just setting it to UTC now. The nice part is then when EF Core comes along and hydrates this object, it will actually overwrite that value with the one from the database. So it is safe to set that the way that we did. So even though we did this, it's going to create that object. EF Core will then grab the value out of the database and overwrite that. So those values will be correct. So let's go and run this again. And then we're going to go click that button a couple more times, set up a couple of more game datas in there. So we're going to run the game, and then we're going to look at the database. So first time run, we're going to run it again. So it takes a little bit of time, and that's actually because every one of these has to face every other one 1,000 times, so there's a little bit of slowness there. Plus, signals requires actually making a web connection. So that is connected with SignalR from our other spot. So that's why that one takes a little bit of time. We're going to load up our data now, and hey, look at that. We have values in here. So, awesome. That is great. That is exactly what we wanted to see. Which means if we just navigate to this page, we do see some values. But these end up getting sorted incorrectly because we don't sort right before the view. It's the ordering that we got here. We ordered in the wrong place. What a bummer. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to fix this by going here, and we're going to say dot order by descending wins. So most wins get you to the top of the list. We should probably do multiple orderings, but I'm not going to bother with that just yet. Okay. Okay, there we go. So this is save game record data and display. Save game record data and display previous. Looks great. That is fantastic. We're not storing all the data yet, but we are getting there. So I'm a big fan of that change. I think that's a really good one. So let us continue on. So the next thing that we need to save is the full results, I think. Actually, before we do this, let's get a pull request in. I think this is worthy of pull requesting in. Let's do that before we get too much further. I think we should get on a new branch and get this pull requested. Because we have our initial set of data storage. So, initial data storage. So, we're going to create this. Well, I think we know what's going to happen. Let's try running this. See what we get. We'll get a commit in there and just make sure that's working. Yeah, see, we got 3 failed tests here on this. Let's take a look. We haven't brought these in yet, so this is pretty easy. So we changed our whole data structure, so that's why these are breaking. Handle player 2 win. So we expected it to be this. Found nulls. Okay. This was supposed to be a competitor object. That's not a competitor object, so they're not going to line up. Because we used to use bot objects, but we now use these new objects instead. So the competitor in this case is actually a null object, it looks like, because this didn't have one. So in order to make this work, competitor equals new competitor, and on this one as well, if I say competitor equals new competitor, so that will automatically initialize each one of those with an ID value that is a unique identifier. Ready, would it be a good idea to add a progress bar after clicking run the game, or is this just a test page? So Ready, for this game specifically, it might be useful to have some additional information. I think there would be some value, say, in having a SignalR connection and even knowing which bots we're running against which ones. So there's absolutely some additional data we could display while we're running that. This is very early on that page, so that really is essentially just a test page for now. We are going to want to have more, but it would be useful if you saw like which match was going on as you played it. There's a lot of really cool stuff we could put in here. So that is just starting there. This is one of our projects. Our main project is actually our chatbot in here. So that is the one that gets most of our focus. Okay, so I just want to make these pass real quickly. So that's going to be .competitor. That's going to be .competitor. Let's see if this test passes now, if that was enough. Winning player, was that a... Okay, that was an actual player. So that's a competitor. And Ready, thanks for following. Welcome to DevChatter. I will take that to mean that you are enjoying the stream. So, greatly appreciated. And anybody else, if you are enjoying the stream and you want to make sure you catch our next one, the best way to do that is to click the follow button. That is might say follow, might be a little heart button, something like that. But you can click that, and then that if you leave the notification button set, you'll get notified. But if you uncheck that, you won't get a notification about it. But what it does mean is that if you show up to Twitch. So, for example, you go to twitch.tv/devchatter, and you went, well, if you didn't go to DevChatter and you just went to your follows section, you would see that we were one of your live channels listed here. So, that is what you would get there. So our tests are passing now, so let's go ahead and commit the fixing of the tests. Fix the broken tests. Yeah, we meant to fix those at the end of the last stream, but I forgot to get them before the stream ended, and then forgot to get them at the beginning of the stream. So now they're good to go and pushed out. And if we take a look here, I'm going to refresh this. That should be, yep, okay, so that switched back, so that is now an incomplete build. It's going to push this out to AppVeyor, and AppVeyor is going to take a look at this code, tell us if it's working. And if it is, then we will merge that in. Just naming the system. Okay, so I want to add tasks for the things that we need to add to this bot. So record the full results of matches between bots. We need to record the full results of bot matches so people can review that data after the fact. Another new issue that we need to make is we need to have allow competitors to specify to turn a message with decision. Some bots, when we show bot owners their bots' decisions, it would be good to let them specify a string so they can debug why they made their decision. Okay, so let's go ahead and that's a great one of those. That's actually a pretty good first issue too. It's not a very difficult one. This one is also an enhancement and a good first issue. Neither of those is too difficult. Adjusting the naming in the system, while it is an easy task, it requires getting into just about everything, so I'm probably not going to mark that as a good first task. Need bot grudge matches. Yes, so that kind of thing actually happens in this kind of a challenge, S&B. Rivalries tend to come up because a lot of times there are similar bots that use the same types of logic to win their matches. So, for example, Signals and Cleverbot use the exact same code. So that's why these almost always have the same record, is because they really are the same bot. So there's a bit of randomness to some of the bots, and because of that, one or the other could lose based on someone else's randomness. I mean, in theory, so Rando Carissian literally just chooses randomly. The fact that it wins one is only because one of the bots only throws water balloons. Clarification, for anyone who is in here and does not yet know, this is the way our rock, paper, scissors game. I figure I'll give a couple of seconds of explanation of what we're building here. Essentially, each bot faces each other bot 1,000 times in rock, paper, scissors. When they play against each other, there are more options than just rock, paper, scissors, the standard one, where rock beats scissors, scissors beats paper, and paper beats rock. We also add dynamite, which beats paper, beats scissors, and beats rock, and only loses to the newly added water balloon. Water balloon, however, loses to rock, scissors, and paper. So water balloon is actually the worst choice, but is the only thing that beats dynamite, making it very valuable. However, because dynamite is the obvious best option, and thus you should always play dynamite unless you think your opponent's playing water balloon, we limit you to only being able to throw 100 sticks of dynamite in your match of 1,000 rounds against your opponent. So that's basically the way the game works. And we are going to allow people to submit their own bots. So keep in mind in this page, we're going to set up registration and login. That's going to be one of our features coming up soon. We're going to let you submit your bot by so the starting way to do that is you're going to be to specify a URL for a SignalR bot, meaning you need to have a SignalR hub at a URL that we specify. So you'll take our code for the time being that is right here, example bot. You'll make a copy of this, and you would load this somewhere, and that would be able to compete. We're going to have other options so you don't have to self-host for anybody that's worried about that. We're maybe going to come up with a solution where we open up a Docker container. We're going to come up with something. And some of this is going to depend on whether or not we can get some assistance from Microsoft to help us out here. Because if we can, I think that'd be a really cool answer. Because I would love to convince Microsoft to get us set up with a nice hosted Azure solution for this. Especially, it's useful for them if it means you get a whole bunch of devs setting up Azure sites and figuring out how to use it. So it's a win-win. We get a nice hosted solution, and they get developers setting up stuff against their stuff, and we have fun with it. So good stuff all around. All right, so we got a few of those. The other thing, allow a logged in user to create a new competitor. Restrict access to up to associate competitors with a user. HR access key. Welcome, thanks for following. I love the name. It's almost access key. It's like access key. It's creative. I like it. Okay, so that is running there, and I think those are pretty good. Let's take a look at a couple of other things. So hopping it back over here, I do want to mention this stuff. First off, if you are new here, you may not know that we stream 4 times a week here. So we have streams on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And it's rare that we miss them, so you can catch a lot of DevChatter if you want to. And if you are interested in checking out any of our old videos, so the stuff that we've done in the past, you have 2 ways to do that. You can either go to our Twitch channel and take a look at the videos section, where you will find a collection of previous videos. So this is a pair programming session with Steve Smith, who goes by the name Ardalis. You could take a look at some of the stuff we did with TwitchLib here. I was pair programming right here, and this one is with Jay Tower. And we have a few others, so I did a couple of other pair programming sessions there, and we've got more planned for the future, so expect more pair programming on the channel as well. But we have a lot of videos on here, and if your video is old and you don't find it on here, you want to take a look at one of the things we did at the beginning of the stream, some of the early stuff. You can find a lot of our early videos on our YouTube channel, and I am going to link our YouTube channel in the chat and our videos section in the chat as well. So if you want to take a look at our videos from the past, you can take a look at them there. And if you want to discuss with the rest of us outside of the stream, as I mentioned, down below you can find our, where's our Discord link? Right here. So this little link for Discord, and I will copy that link. So copy link address, and I will paste that in chat. So if you are interested in chatting with any of us, you can find that link down there. That is our Discord. Also, if you want to take a look at our schedule, you can check out this little piece here. You'll notice this is showing in my time zone. But if you go here, it'll show it in your time zone, or at least what it thinks your time zone is. And additionally, if you want to check out our schedule, you could do our schedule command, passing in the offset you want. So mine's UTC -4, but if you say are in Germany, you're at UTC +2, so you could say +2, and it would spit out that schedule as well. That was just an example there. And then other things, other useful information here, you can check out our GitHub, which is linked down here. If you want to contribute to our projects, mention any issues, try anything out, all that is available. We are very helpful and supportive of especially people that are new to contributing to open source projects. So if that is something you're interested in, this is a great way to learn how to do that. So you can take a look at that and get those set up as well. And the last thing I want to mention is that our next stream will be tomorrow. So that'll be Tuesday, June 19th. And we're going to start at the same time we did today, so that is 2 p.m. my time, 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And that is about, what, 21.5 hours from now, so make sure you set your timers. Don't be late. It'll be a good one. And I want to thank everybody for showing up today. So have a great one. Bye, everyone. Happy coding. And thanks for hanging out. It was fun. S&B, you are very welcome. I was glad to have you here. And thank you also, Async Awake. Kazru. Bye, everyone. Have a great day.